This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots. Well, what do you know? We made it to another Sunday. Welcome, everybody. This is Kicking It with Kaz here on WTF Nation Radio. So glad to see everybody here. What an awesome day. It's been a great weekend. The temperature went from the 70s down to the mid to upper 20s. So that was a bit of a change. But nobody died. Everybody is safe.
Well, that's a good thing. Everything's kind of quiet.
Things are quiet, which is good. I'm waiting. I'm still waiting for parts and things to be made, and then I can continue the home reno. That's probably going to last the rest of my days, but it was nice to have kind of a weekend off.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. You need it as much time as you've been putting in doing the home improvement stuff. You needed some time off.
It's good to not have to do anything. And it's not that it's lazy. I mean, I did work outside, cleaning off the porch and leaves. There's leaves everywhere. But
oh my. Well, at least you had a quiet one. I've had a busy one, so.
What you got going on, man?
It's one of those. It started out with I only had one thing to do, and that was a doctor's appointment, and it avalanched into having to go on base, having to take care of this, having to take care of that. Means that I'm not working. I'm retired. I had to go run some errands for my wife to get her car registered. Just constant movement this week. And I just sat there going, I did not expect this. It was supposed to be a quiet week. I even forgot I had dropped some stuff off at the computer shop I go to. He was going to test my some RAM that I have for me, and I forgot, and I left it there.
Well, you can't go very far without RAM, dude.
Oh, it's stuff. I have stuff that I can put in while I'm testing this stuff. And it just, I sat there going, yeah, I probably should go get that back.
Hey, man, we got a guest tonight, dude.
Yeah, we do. Pretty cool.
Tonight in the second hour, we're gonna welcome Mike Formo. He's the CEO of Operation Backbone. So make sure you hang out, man. He's got a lot of good things to say. Mike served his country honorably in the United States Navy during the Gulf War after a powerlifting neck injury. That sounds weird. Maybe you can expound on that. But his focus turned to creating a streamlined medical logistical pipeline for injured veterans and active duty soldiers around the world. Collaborating and partnering with the most advanced software and medical talent, the scope of operations now reaches over 120 hospitals with dedicated medical specialists in 33 states, and they're growing. So we're really, really, really excited to have Mike coming on here in the second hour.
Yeah, this should be interesting. Definitely. And I'm going to be curious as to what he did to mess up his neck.
Right.
Because it's a neck injury, and I believe he said he ended up with a single or a double fusion.
Ooh.
Yeah, I have a double fusion.
I've got no fusions.
Oh, and the sad part is, depending on when you had it, back when I had, or time, things have changed so nicely. over the last 10 years. I had mine, and it's still, there's quite a bit of recovery time compared to what it is now.
Right, and it's probably a lot harder the older you get if you injure yourself when you're older as opposed to when you're a young person. Oh, speaking about old and young, we got a birthday today. Special birthday today.
Whose?
Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, my.
One of the first human beings to set foot on the moon is celebrating his birthday this weekend. Apollo 11 astronaut Buzz Aldrin turned 89 today.
Happy birthday, Buzz.
Aldrin and Neil Armstrong became the first humans to set foot on the moon on July 20th, 1969 as part of the Apollo 11 mission. Aldrin was born in New Jersey. This is impressive. This is really impressive. Aldrin was born in New Jersey and attended the United States Military Academy after high school. After graduation, Aldrin joined the Air Force. He flew 66 combat missions in Korea and completed a tour of duty in Germany before returning to school to earn his doctorate of science and astronautics from MIT. In 1966, Aldrin took part in Gemini 12 orbital flight mission. During the mission, Aldrin completed the first successful spacewalk in the world, and he took the first space selfie. A few years later, about 600 million people worldwide watched him set foot on the moon. Happy birthday, Buzz. Looking good, man.
That's excellent. Yeah, he has been around for quite a long time. I know. I actually remember watching the first spacewalk.
You know what, dude? I've done the math. I was a little more than 2 months old when that happened.
Oh, wow. See, it was in 69. Yeah, it was in 69, and I was 6 years old.
That's something else, man. I mean, just the shit this man has done and seen and experienced. No, because right now, these days, it's all about the experience. People will market and sell you things based on the experience of such things.
Oh, yes.
This dude right here.
He's had experience.
He's had experiences.
AL1 commo, I was 8. Road Tech, I was 2.
Damn.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm not supposed to be on Team Old then.
Yeah,
I can go on my I can go back on my probationary period of Team Old.
You're younger than me.
So you know, a lot of things during this last week.
Yes.
If you pay attention to social media, they had this 10-year challenge where you're supposed to you're supposed to use like your first picture on Facebook and then compare it to now.
Yeah.
Or a picture from 10 years ago versus the picture now. And a lot of there's been millions and millions and millions of people participating in it.
Yeah, I've seen.
There's some really decent pictures. I mean, here's a picture of a young man, 10-year challenge. He looks good then. He looks good now. Great, super. And then there's this other picture, guy standing, a dude hanging in the dumpster, and he's taking a picture. I mean, it's just, your standard 10 years ago I was here and now I'm here.
Yeah.
Kind of like a status thing. They've got some, even some TV personalities have done it. The TV personalities kind of never age, or they always look the same, and I think it's because of the makeup.
That would be my guess.
But if you take off all that makeup, you're probably like, ugh, who are you? So there's other 10-year challenge pictures that popped up on the internet. There we got a pair of boobs.
Look, headlights. Bad headlights.
I like this one, the Nokia phone. That was my first cell phone. Well, It was. I can't say it was my first cell phone. I had a flip phone when I was in the Army, but then I went years without a cell phone, and then when I got back into the cell phone thing, my first phone was a Nokia. And that's very, very, very true, man. My battery never gave me a hard time.
No, same here.
Anyway, it's a simple meme. that's taking over your social media feeds, the 10-year challenge, where users upload side-by-side photos of themselves from a decade ago and then one of now. But it might not be so simple. Facebook on Wednesday distanced itself from the 10-year challenge after an article set off speculation that the social media giant could be secretly mining data from photos to improve its facial recognition algorithms. It's a scenario that those who have studied social media companies don't rule out, despite Facebook's denials. The Facebook challenge gives Facebook a, quote, perfect storm for machine learning, said Amy Webb, a professor at NYU Stern School of Business, with an upcoming book on how AI can manipulate humans. It presented Facebook with a terrified opportunity to learn, to train their systems to better recognize small changes in users' appearance. The 10-year challenge popped up last week across Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Millions of people have participated. The challenge generated 5.2 million engagements on Facebook in just 3 days. That is some serious, serious traffic.
Wow.
It was the latest in a constant stream of social media crazes like the Bird Box Challenge and the Top 9 photo collage. It enticed users to join in with little concern for safety or privacy. There are also viral hashtags like hashtag #MyFirstConcertWas, which inadvertently gets users to reveal answers to popular security questions.
Oh, really?
Have you ever had that? You fill out, you set your password and then they say, okay, you need some hints.
Yeah.
And one of those is, what's the first concert you've been to?
Yeah, I filled those out, definitely.
Speculations about the meme's ulterior motive flared up after Wired writer Kate O'Neill published an op-ed suggesting that it wasn't just harmless fun. O'Neill pointed out that the viral challenge has filled Facebook with labeled side-by-side user photos taken within a fixed period of time. That's different and easier to analyze than the years of photos the users have already uploaded in no particular order. It's also more useful for technology that's trying to capture how people look as they age.
Oh, my. Did you participate, by the way?
I did not. I did not. She warned of unforeseen consequences, and this is an interesting point that could come from giving up this data, such as insurance companies kicking up coverage costs for people who seem to be aging quickly. Though there has been no evidence of this happening, it's just a speculation.
Yes.
Facebook issued a statement saying that it had no role in starting the challenge and saw no benefit in it. And they went further and says this is a user-generated meme that went viral all on its own. Facebook did not start this trend, and the meme uses photos that already exist on Facebook. Facebook gains nothing from this meme, besides reminding us of the questionable fashion trends of 2009. As a reminder, Facebook users can choose to turn off their facial recognition at any time. But even if Facebook didn't initiate the challenge, it has been using facial recognition and intelligence for years to recognize users and people that they are pictured with. It is also rolling out new products that rely on our artificial intelligence, such as a portal, a video chat screen with a camera that can follow you around the room and automatically focus on your face. My camera does that.
Yeah, mine does too.
If I tell it to, it does.
It's quite annoying.
That's why I don't use it. The 10-year challenge comes about a year after a similar effort from Google, one of Facebook's biggest competitors. Google Arts and Culture app matches selfies with works of art that resemble the user. The app uses facial recognition algorithms to create side-by-side comparisons after users upload a photo. Whatever Facebook gets out of the 10-year challenge, Barr said, it is significant. It's good that finally, even though it took a couple of days, eventually the conversation began of, hey, wait a minute, did we just play into the hands of tech giants again? At least it's becoming a part of the conversation.
Which is a good one. I wouldn't have thought of that, but then I don't participate in those things.
Hey, Branko, how you doing, buddy?
Branko's here. Cool. Good to see you, buddy.
So here I've got on the screen there. It's a Twinkie, and I swear to God, the Twinkie has gotten fresher looking since 2009.
Hey, Mac, good to see you.
This next one, I do like this next one. This is probably my favorite.
Well, in Miami, a Royal Caribbean International says it's issued a lifetime ban for a man who jumped off a cruise ship in the Bahamas. Nick Nadev of Vancouver, Washington, posted the video on Instagram last week showing him standing on the balcony of the Symphony of the Seas and jumping off. In the comment section, the man estimated that he jumped from the 11th floor deck more than 100 feet, 30 meters above the water's surface. Nadev says he and his friends were kicked off the ship and had to fly back to Miami. He says he was sore for several days after the jump, but didn't report any serious injuries. A Royal Caribbean spokesman called the incident extremely dangerous and confirmed the lifetime ban. The company says it's also exploring legal action.
I was thinking about that, and I was examining the threat of legal action. He didn't hurt anybody. He didn't hurt himself. He put himself in danger, and I don't really know. Did they go out and get him afterwards?
Probably they had to, and it's also considered a liability issue. They have to pay for insurance that their ship is safe, and at that point you have someone jumping off. Think about the liability. If he would have hurt himself and sat there and said, well, I'm going to sue you guys, he could have actually come back and tried to sue them for
letting him do that.
Yes. And even though there's a good chance he would have lost, it would have tied them up in court, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, and caused all sorts of undue time and money just because he's an idiot.
So I'm compiling this story last night, and I told my daughter about it. We watched the video, which I just showed, and you know it's 11 stories. I'm like, that's a pretty good free fall. So I'm thinking. So I just asked, is there a chance that he could have hit terminal velocity? And the answer to that is no.
No.
It takes approximately 12 seconds to reach terminal velocity for that size of a person.
Yeah.
But my daughter did a little bit of math, and assumed certain facts like his body mass, and she determined that he was doing probably around 66 miles per hour when he hit the water.
Jeez. I can't imagine. And the problem is, if he would have hit it there's good ways to hit the water and bad ways to hit the water. He could have hit it the wrong way and actually caused injury.
Had he not hit feet first, that could have been catastrophic.
Yes.
I mean, I've done cliff diving, but I think maybe the highest I've jumped is maybe 30 feet. In my recollection, it was probably about 30 feet.
Yeah.
And that, if you hit wrong at 30 feet, that hurts.
Yeah, it does. So, idiots will be idiots, but at the same time, that's a soldier on pass getting drunk for several days and not thinking type thing.
So he's from Vancouver, Washington. That's the United States. Yeah, it's not British Columbia.
There is a Vancouver, Washington.
Okay.
It's over on the west side, below Olympia, which is the state of Washington. Or the capital of Washington.
Okay.
So.
But he had to, they kicked him off the ship, and he was in the Bahamas, so he had to fly his ass back to Miami.
I can't blame them.
No, neither can I.
I mean, if you think about it, they now have to wonder if they have to put up caging on the rails for idiots like him. Think about it. Insurance companies are just sitting there all over this going, someone else could do that. Would we be liable?
Or how can we mitigate this from happening again. I mean, granted, you're not going to have this happen when on the cruises that are more like retiree type ages.
But the singles cruises and the booze cruises, you have to worry about the idiots like this. And most people would sit there and say, that's not a smart thing to do.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's idiots that ruin it for everybody else.
Mm-hmm. We all know that all too well from the military. If you've ever had a pass pulled because someone did something and you ended up the whole squad or platoon pays for it.
So Nick Nadev said that he was in some pain a couple days after. Even Branko said that he hit wrong from about 76 feet and it hurt for 2 weeks, and he said never again.
Yeah.
I believe it, man. I believe it.
People don't understand. You can do it when you're coming down at that point. It is not soft at all.
Even my daughter was just like, man, it's just like hitting concrete. I'm like, yeah, well, if you hit with your feet and you're piercing the water, then that's one thing. But if you're sideways in any way, that's just like hitting solid ass ground.
Oh, and what's worse is if you flop anywhere forward or backward and you hit your head, it snaps your neck back.
But I was also kind of, in a way, this guy's kind of a hero, because how many of us, I've never been on a cruise, but I've always wondered what it would be like to jump off the side of that boat.
I can say I never have.
You've never wondered that?
I have dived off of some fairly high places, and I have skied. I know what happens. No.
Well, but the curiosity has been there for me. Not that I would do it, but I've always been curious, and now we can just talk to Nick about that.
Hey, Kaz, did you just see what popped up in Mixer?
Was it a poll question?
No. You want to read it.
Let me see.
We need a confirmation on that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that info. I appreciate you. B Company 175th Rangers 98.
Yeah.
So our guest is currently under a power outage. He's in the New York area, and they're getting a little bit of snow.
Yeah, that's the reason I when I saw that, that's feasible, because I know there's been a lot of complaining of that weather front that's been moving towards the east.
Yeah,
they were supposed to hit hard.
My mom and dad recently moved up into Wisconsin, and they're in an area right near Lake Michigan, and they've been having winter weather warnings.
Yeah.
So they woke up today. It was, my dad said it was 2 degrees, and there was about 1 inch of snow. And he goes, well, it looks like it missed us, but like 10 miles to the north and east of them, they got like a foot or more of snow.
That's the fun. This is the fun part. Where I live, we're in what we call a valley. You have gradients that go up in all directions, and it's interesting because other areas will get hit hard. I mean, they'll sit there and say, "Yeah, man, we've been hit with a foot of snow," and we maybe got half an inch. And we're only a 5 or 10 mile difference.
Well, he's, I don't know exactly where he says it's 2 degrees in Rochester, Michigan right now. Whoa.
Youch.
2 whole degrees. I know up in the Buffalo area, in that part of New York, right outside of where Lake Erie is, man, they get some massive lake effect snow.
Yeah.
And it's crazy up there, because you might have one area that gets just completely buried in snow, and then a couple of blocks over, barely getting anything.
Yeah. And I've actually when I was driving, when I was driving commercially, I would actually drive in around Indiana and Michigan, and the lake effect coming off of there would be throughout the whole state and into Indiana, and it just one part of Indiana would be under 2 feet of snow. The other part, no snow at all. And you just sit there, and you drive through that. And you're just going, this is just so odd. The things that you see when you drive truck.
I can't really. I do miss the snow. I do like the snow. I like right after a fresh snow, just the silence. Everything just seems quieter, and it's just it's really really nice. But then you get to shovel that stuff, and then the snow plows come, and then refill your driveway up with snow. I'm not a fan of that.
And see that I'm lucky enough. My son is around. He helps me out, and I always say if my son stops doing it, I'll go out and get a snowblower.
Oh, I got a snowblower when I lived in Ohio, man. That's like one of the first purchases I made from Home Depot was a snowblower, and I used it. I did my driveway. I did my neighbor's driveway. It was great, man. I love being out there.
Smiling to everybody else as they're shoveling and waving.
No, everyone around me had better snowblowers than I did.
Snowblower envy. Yeah, I guess a whole bunch of flights have been canceled. And was it B Company Ranger saying that his flight got canceled into Buffalo for a post-op appointment?
It happens, man. It happens every year, and it sucks because you really can't. You can predict, but you can't really predict how intense it's going to be.
Yeah,
they've been talking about this system for 10 days, 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
it changes every day. Every time you listen to the weather forecast, it changed. It was still there. The system was still there, but it's kind of morphed and.
Well, they sat there and said, "Oh, everybody's going to. All these places were going to hit," and some did, and a lot didn't. And so they weren't quite sure where it was going to go. But now I guess they're getting hit hard. I mean, what was it? J-Red, he got hit pretty hard himself.
Yeah, he couldn't do his tinfoil time show last night because his power went out.
Yeah.
So it's happening. It's no big deal. No worries. If it doesn't happen tonight, it'll happen.
Ain't that the truth?
At some point. Maybe he can come on Tuesday.
Who knows? Maybe I'll be the one talking to him.
So, there's a new memorial honoring Navy SEAL and Medal of Honor recipient Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy. This story, when this happened, when the vandalism happened, it pissed me off, and it made me really, really frustrated to wonder, okay, who did this? Why did they do this? What kind of disrespect is this towards an American hero?
Yeah,
and then to come and find out a 14-year-old kid did it. So I can understand the. He's a 14-year-old kid. He's not necessarily paying attention to, world events. So it was just a lapse of judgment, and he was just a dick, and it happened to be Lieutenant Murphy's memorial that was damaged. I don't know. I don't know the details on it. I don't even know the kid's name. I don't care. But that memorial has been replaced.
Good.
And it was dedicated on Thursday of last week, months after a teenager, and that happened in July of 2018, when Michael Murphy's plaque was destroyed.
Yeah.
Months after a teenager vandalized the original monument, shattering it to pieces, the monument has been replaced. Loved ones and members of the community gathered at the Lake Ronkonkoma Park, named after the late Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy, to install the monument. The park where Murphy was once a lifeguard was dedicated to him in 2009 on what would have been his 30th birthday. It's been amazing to see the community rally together after this awful act of vandalism. In July, a 14-year-old defaced the granite stone monument at Lieutenant Michael P. Murphy Memorial Park. The teen was later arrested and charged with second-degree criminal mischief. Peter Marmoto, whose late father made the original medallion, said that he built the new memorial 3.5 inches thick out of black absolute granite one of the most dense stones in the world. The nearly 700-pound plaque is inscribed with the same image and inscription as the original. Lieutenant Michael Murphy gave the ultimate sacrifice, and this was the least that we could do, he said. Murphy died during a shootout in Afghanistan on June 28, 2005, while he and other members of his SEAL team were conducting a reconnaissance mission on a well-known terrorist. Hollywood retold the heroics of the mission in the 2000 film Lone Survivor, starring Mark Wahlberg. Despite the intensity of the firefight and suffering grave gunshot wounds himself, Murphy is credited with risking his own life to save the lives of his teammates. The town will host a rededication ceremony at the park in the late spring. I just want Michael to be remembered as a citizen of Suffolk County, citizen of America, and someone who took it upon himself to be there to protect all of us and willing to lay down his life to keep us safe. So that's badass.
Yeah, it is. And the fact that his son went in 700-pound. That's
a 700-pound chunk of granite, dude. That's
awesome.
And I'll bet you all of that is just covered in snow right now.
Yeah. Now you have a poll going.
Oh, I do. I did put one out there. These are I had a theme last week.
Yeah.
I don't have a theme this week. These are just random questions. And this, I've only got 3 questions this week. Hopefully Mike can join us. If not, that's okay. We're going to reschedule. But the first question is, what United States city is home to the annual All-American Soapbox Derby?
Ooh.
Your options are Rockford, Illinois, Akron, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or Mobile, Alabama.
I wouldn't have thought of that. Huh. I would not have even thought about an annual soapbox derby. There are so many things out there these days.
See, I did Pinewood derbies when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And I really, really liked that. That was a lot of fun. I think it was more fun for my dad. I mean, I got to climb up the ramp and then place my car there. My dad is a bit of a craftsman, so he did a lot of the work, and then I took credit for it, like kids are supposed to.
Yeah.
I still got that car.
Really?
I've still got that car somewhere.
That's funny.
It's great, man. It's beautiful. It's really awesome. Nice and streamlined. And did you ever do the Pinewood derbies?
Yes, I was actually in Cub Scouts and in Weeblos, and stopped at Weeblos and went into something else. But yeah, I did do the Pine derbies, and even remember the plane, the little propeller or whatever they were
with the rubber band.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also did that.
I always like getting those for you get them as stocking stuffers or something during Christmas, or just an add-on gift for a birthday or Easter or whatever. I always love flying those planes and trying to make little modifications to it.
I just can't see that. Knowing who you are, no, I can't see that at all.
And look what I'm doing now, right?
Exactly.
I'm tweaking and bending and making and creating.
Anthony asked, did your dad weigh it down with lead?
He did not. We taped a penny to the bottom of it. That was legal at the time to bring it up to its maximum weight.
Jeez.
And he, what did we do? We had, nails where the axles and the little plastic wheels go on there. We both did this. We sanded the wheels, so they were just perfect and smooth. And then he put graphite dust for friction control, and it was great. I didn't win anything, but it was fun.
I see where you got your love of things. Yes.
Yeah, dude. If you give me a workbench with tools and stuff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's wood or metal or electronics or whatever. I'm gonna find something to do with it.
Hey, Spanky's trolling us to make sure we don't do the whole minivan thing.
That was the theme last week. You can go ahead and check out our podcasts, Spanky, at WTFNationRadio.com. Just click on podcasts, and then you can download one of hundreds. There's hundreds of podcasts there.
All sorts of themes, all sorts of chat. And you could tune in to last Sundays and hear us talk all about Spanky's minivan.
The entire, every single one of the poll questions had something to do with minivans. It was in your honor. It was because we love you so much.
We love you, Spanky. Oh, we're so in trouble. And you live closest, so she'll get to you first.
You've got a point there.
Well, an oversized snowman in Kentucky doled out some instant karma to a would-be vandal who discovered the hard way that its base was on a tree stump. Now, I like this.
This is a good story.
For all of you that's getting all this snow in, think about it, please. Petersburg resident Cody Lutz said he built the 9-foot snowman in his yard with his fiancée, Lucy, and his future sister-in-law during the weekend. Lutz said he and his co-designers decided to build the base of the snowman on a large tree stump in their front yard to give it some extra stability.
Hey, it worked.
Exactly. Lutz said he noticed some tire tracks in his yard a few days after the snowman was erected. The tracks indicated someone tried to drive through the snowman but was stopped by the stump. I love it. Instant karma, Lutz said. It's hilarious, What goes around comes around in good ways and bad ways. So I guess everyone learns a valuable lesson here. Oh, God.
Had that stump not been there, that vehicle, which might be let's just say it's a truck, would be in the living room or there.
That's rough.
That's nuts, dude. I mean, first of all, who would do that? Probably the same kind of person that, like that 14-year-old, except this person happens to have a driver license.
Well, and here's my thought. We don't know what kind of road or what kind of turn is right in that area.
Yeah.
For all we know, there was enough ice and snow on the road, and it just slid.
I don't see any skid marks, man. I see a grill mark where the stump is.
Yeah.
And I see tire tracks, and I don't see any evidence of it skidding.
Well, you're right there. I was just trying to be devil's advocate, but you're right.
I don't even know. That's not skid marks, slide marks. Commo. Thanks for the correction, though. Skid marks.
You can't get anything by these guys.
Well, actually, it's, you're not going to have skid marks on snow.
Oh, my. No, that's definitely an interesting picture. And I have to admit, any of you guys, if you're getting snow, consider this. I mean, just, put some cinder blocks or something. I'm not malicious. Oh, wow. That's something else, though.
It looks like our guest, Mike Formo, is going to be rescheduling due to his winter weather situation right now. So he's going to reschedule. As soon as he reschedules, we're going to make that known as far as the date goes.
Somewhere in the near future, hopefully.
Yeah, just get a hold of our front desk guys, and they'll or ladies rather. Actually, we have ladies and gentlemen there now.
Yes, we do.
And we'll definitely get you scheduled back in.
So, not to get too far into politics, but did you watch the news yesterday?
With President Trump's little speech?
Yes.
I did not. I read some things, and I actually saw a bunch of speculation before he made his statement.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a sad state um, when, I mean, I truly believe that both everybody, the people who are representing us, are supposed to be representing us. They're not supposed to throw tantrums. They're they should be representing us as a country. And at this point, it saddens me that without even giving it a thought, people are rejecting. I mean, he actually tried to compromise. He actually tried to compromise on some stuff he wasn't willing to compromise on before. And I mean, that my speculation, and this is something I just thought, I've been thinking about, his whatchamacallit, State of the Union is supposed to be on what, the 29th?
Something like that, yeah.
It's on a Tuesday, which is going to be my last Tuesday. He's supposed to, at that point, he has a State of the Union. Well, would it really be surprising? And I'm going to say this: would it be surprising if, at that point, if nothing has happened, and everybody keeps standing each other off, he says, "Fine, let's open the government, but I'm going to go ahead and declare a national emergency." Would it really be surprising if he did that?
I would be less surprised if he did it. I actually thought that he was sick of pussyfooting around, and I thought he was going to do that on Saturday. Then I read some of the op-eds. All the talking heads are going, well, no. Word on the street is he's going to offer what's the word for them? The DACA.
Yeah, the DACAs.
The DACA recipients, not so much amnesty, but a certain probably after some serious vetting, he would offer certain DACA recipients amnesty.
Well,
dreamers,
giving them 3 years extension, gives time to figure it out still.
Right, and that's what Democrats have been pushing for quite a long time. But now all of a sudden, it's off the table.
Exactly, and that to me, I don't like quoting the media, and I don't like saying what media says. But at this point, all they're really, I mean, their whole what is the word I'm looking for? They're no longer trying to work. They're just trying to stop everything. And I think that's going to hurt. They may have had some sympathy up until now about, Trump called this, but at this point, I think they lost that. And I think it's a sad situation. And no, Road Tech, I am not going to sing for you to replace our guest.
He may or may not dance.
You've been watching my show too much.
I watch your show every Tuesday at 2000 hours Eastern.
Hey, I believe in trying to have fun and get people to move their arms around and enjoy their listening. I don't sing. I do not sing.
I'll bet you've got vocals going at 11 level in your head.
I used to sing, and you know Freddie Mercury, right?
Yes.
I could hit his octaves.
Damn.
People sit there and go, "Oh, you have to have, You notice I kind of have a higher pitched voice as it is. No, I used to in high school. I sang in barbershop quartet, and I was lead tenor. You remember the group Aha that sang the song "Take on Me"?
Yeah,
I could hit that without a problem.
Damn, someone have your nuts in a vice.
No, it's just being that my dad was a minister, I always, was in choir. And so I just always was working with my vocals. And I got to where I could hit the high notes quite well. But after my surgery on my neck, the one downside they said was the fact that they had to go through my neck to get to my spine. Excuse me. When they do that, sometimes when they move your neck over and they have to move your airway and everything, the possibility that they cause damage to your vocal cords is there.
That is true.
Chris, full, not falsetto. My falsetto even went higher. Yeah, just an 80s retro.
Right.
So I ended up with damaged vocal cords, but it's not like I was making a living singing. So
now you're making a living dancing. I just want to dance.
You play my song, maybe I'll dance for you. But since there's no camera, it doesn't matter.
Not yet. Once I get into my new studio area, there will be.
Yes, buddy. It won't take long. Sometime in the next couple weeks, Mr. Cause is going to turn on the camera again.
What I expect is my wiring is correct as far as all my network stuff is good to go back there.
Yeah.
I'm expecting my desktop, not computer, but it's a piece of wood that I'm having made. It'll show up. I'm going to stain it. I'm going to lacquer the shit out of it. Give it some time to dry and then install it, and then I'll be all set up, ready to go.
Then you just get to transfer everything over. Won't that be fun?
I think I can do this piece by piece and not upset the balance of the universe too much.
the balance of the computer and interwebs.
Right.
No, that's always fun.
Yeah, I moved from the other side of Fort Worth to here, and everything went well. I labeled everything. It's not like I can't do it. I do this all the time at work. I get paid to do, so I know what I'm doing. But there's always that that little bit of Murphy's Law usually comes in, and a button gets pushed and doesn't need to be pushed, and you can't figure it out until it's too late. B Company 175th Ranger said that they went through his neck tube, but no changes. 3 cages, 8 screws, 1 plate, and 9 pins. Holy moly!
Yeah, and see with me, it was an actual fusion. They didn't use the cages or the screws or plates. They went and used Godiva. Godiva donated bone and put it in the 2. I had to have 2 fusions, and some people are lucky when they do that. When they move the neck over, or when they move your throat over and everything, nothing happens to you, and sometimes you don't. I was just one of those where the voice I have, I can't go any higher. If I do, it actually hurts. So I'm kind of stuck where my voice is, and that's okay. I prefer not having the pain I had.
It's crazy. My one of the guys I work with, his wife just went through a spinal fusion, but it was on her lower back. But she had to go back. Her cage. They had a cage, and her cage came loose.
Ooh. So
they had to go and undo everything and then redo everything, and it was just as an invasive surgery as the first time. And they went through the front.
Yeah, see, Ranger B Company, yeah, see, they didn't have stem cell going on back when I had mine done. Times change very quickly, and it's just happened over. See, mine was back around 2001, and they didn't have stem cell was still way too much in the infancy. So, and that's okay. And hello, Justin, how you doing tonight? It's good to see everybody.
Dude, science it's awesome. Science is so awesome. The way advances are being made. I just
every day now.
I just think it's phenomenal.
No, I don't mind though. Like I said, the pain I had, it felt like someone was taking a blowtorch to my arm, constantly up and down.
Just shooting pain?
Not pain, fire pain.
Ugh.
You gotta remember, what tells you that you have a piece, something like a match burning, is your nerves. Well, if your nerves are being pinched, they all of a sudden send really weird signals, and it was telling my arm that it was on fire. I literally felt like there was fire, a blowtorch going up and down my arm, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
How did you injure yourself to cause that?
That comes from a combination of military, where I was the one who always carried the heavy stuff, to also being a power lifter, and the point in my neck where when you do squats, where you put the bar is kind of where one of the areas where I had a fusion.
I see.
And then ending up with arthritis, it caused everything to degenerate.
I kind of wish that there was an Operation Backbone back then, huh?
Yeah. So, and Justin, he's talking about, he had numbness in both his arms and hands. And see, that's just it. I had it. It would go up and down my arm, and then my whole left side would either be numb or it would feel like it was on fire. And that went all the way down to my hip.
How long did you have to endure that discomfort?
I was lucky. I went to I'm lucky in the fact the way I was medically retired. Being medically retired out of the service at 100% gives me the ability to also use TRICARE. I went to the VA. They said, it's going to take us about 5 months, and you're going to have to fly to Seattle. And I went to TRICARE. They, in less than 2 weeks, had me in to see a neurosurgeon. And I saw her in November, and she just had cancellation in just like the 1 or 2 days before Christmas. And I had to endure it completely about 3 months.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but I know there's guys out there that have been waiting for.
It's actually good. The VA system would have took 5 months. The TRICARE, they actually got me. Like I said, she had a cancellation, and she was actually thinking about working night, going ahead and just opening up her schedule for night for me, because I was I was sweating because it was so bad. I woke up. The fun part was after the surgery, I woke up, and it was instant relief. I was in such. I kind of drove the nurses nuts because I was up and around and moving because I felt so good.
Yeah, but at some point you're just like, okay, it's going to hurt here in just a little bit. This is just temporary. Maybe in 10 minutes or 15 minutes, I'm going to have that shooting pain again, that burning sensation.
I was very careful, especially when back then you had to be very careful during recovery, or you could actually cause the whole thing to go south.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, B Company, they said 5 months. The VA said 5 months that it would take to get me to a neurosurgeon. That's not even to get the surgery.
But that's that's early 90s, right?
No, this was actually 2001.
Oh wow. And the reason, I guess, the reason why we're continuing this conversation is because we were going to have Mike Formo from Operation Backbone on, and when I got information that hey, you've got a guest, it's Operation Backbone, I'm like, what's that? And I read into it, and dude, this is one amazing organization. I mean, they're extremely organized, very organized. If you go to operationbackbone.org, you can see what they're all about. And I kind of wrote a little sentence here to introduce a statement from Mike Formo. It says, "What is Operation Backbone about?" In Mike's own words, he sums it up nicely by saying that, quote, "The idea of Operation Backbone is to work with existing VA hospital care. If the local VA hospital has 12 wounded soldiers and can only treat 10, we'll take the other 2. Care will be offered at no cost to the patients, with all treatments being funded through private donations and corporate sponsorships." So we're very excited to have Mike on the show. He can't be here tonight because of weather issues in the Northeast. Totally understandable. Just reschedule, man. We can't wait to have you guys on the show, man. This is a lot of veterans are out there, and they don't that are having issues, and they can't get them taken care of. And maybe when Mike comes on the phone, people will get enough information, and they'll come and check you guys out, man.
And understand, we were just talking about my back. A lot of us hurt ourselves in the military. And the spine is the one thing that is almost universal with soldiers. Because
you're always lifting something or carrying something.
Or worse yet, and when I went in, I don't know about you, but when I went in, you still had to do PT in basic training in your boots. Okay? Now they do it in tennis shoes. But we actually still had to do them in our combat boots. And that's not good for your back. And it starts from there. Okay? Then you're talking, how many of us did road marches? How many of us were carrying rucks that carried it 20 to 40 pounds or better? And then you have that I had a steel pot. Steel pots put pressure on your neck.
I hated the steel pot, man.
If you run or range walking, that's actually hard pounding on your neck. All this adds up. The armor vests, the flak vests that you put on, okay? Those vests pull directly on your shoulders, which then pull directly on your spine. Again, all this stuff adds up. And how do we fight it? We lift weights. Well, guess what? Lifting weights can also cause back injuries. So all this stuff adds up, and this is kind of what would have been leading into this, because this type of stuff is not always addressed. I mean, how many guys were airborne? How many guys were air assault? How many guys were rangers? They made you do stuff. You're jumping out of planes. You're hitting hard landings. You're carrying the heavy rucks. You're doing all sorts of stuff. All that stuff batters not just your knees, not just your hips, but also your spine.
And we'll be able to talk about that more when Mike comes back on, when he's able to come back on the show. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
Exactly. Well, if you can, hopefully you've got a little handheld battery radio, and hopefully his phone. That's it. Hopefully his phone. And he can hear the show. Hopefully, Mike, you're okay.
Yeah, things tend to get cold when the power goes out. Hey, everybody.
Yeah. This is WTF Nation Radio.
This is Randy Couture, and you're listening to WTF Nation Radio.
What's up, everybody? We're back. We are back. Part 2 of Kicking It with Kaz. I'm Kaz, your host. Joined here by good friend Mr. Owl. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing wonderful. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and I don't have snow, so I'm happy.
I thought you said you weren't going to sing.
I said I wasn't.
And I believe you. Okay, we were supposed to have Mike Formo from Operation Backbone on. He's having to reschedule because of weather issues. I apologize. Shit happens, man. We don't schedule. We don't coordinate our schedule with Mother Nature, and I'm guessing she's wreaking havoc on that part of the United States right now.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
It's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. Anyway, thanks for hanging out with us for the second hour. Got a bunch of backup stories. Always, you got to have a backup. The only thing I don't have is a backup for graphics. So you get to look at the Cos logo up there for these stories.
Uh-oh.
And I had good graphics too. I have them. I just didn't put them into this format. So now normally Kicking It with Cos is lighthearted stories that you're not going to find in the mainstream but are nonetheless important. This story falls into that category just because I think that some people are just pains in the ass and they're not happy unless they're bitching about something and complaining about something. And this is happening in Berkeley, California. I did reach out to this restaurant and I don't know, based on the traffic on their website and on their Facebook page, I think they're back up in business. But this story, it didn't infuriate me. It takes a lot to infuriate me. It just makes me kind of throw my hands up and go, why? Why can't you do you, let me do me, and we can all get along? And then the location of this story is Berkeley, California. I think they're back up in business again. So this may be dated news, but if it is, it's not by much. After serving the barbecue industry in Berkeley, California for 50 years, Casey's Barbecue has received a notice of violation from the city. Casey's Barbecue, a reputable Berkeley business, has been issued an unreasonable violation by the Berkeley City Planning Department due to complaints from the neighbors about smoke and the odor of barbecue. I don't know, man. I think that maybe that smelling that every day might be kind of would get old after a while. I kind of understand that, but
either that or it makes you want to eat all the time, and therefore you're blaming your weight gain on them.
Right. I can put down some barbecue, man. Casey's Barbecue is in its new location, and it's been open for a little under a year with all of the proper permits and licenses. When Casey's Barbecue initially moved in, a neighbor wrote a letter to the city opposing the restaurant's transfer and insinuated that the neighborhood, quote, did not need any more restaurants. Now, this restaurant, Casey's Barbecue in Berkeley, they had a prior location, and that location was damaged irreparably from fire. So they have a new location. They filled out all the proper paperwork, went through all the inspections, and everything was good to go as far as the city goes. Except one of the busybody neighbors decided to write a letter to the city. One of Casey's Barbecue's owners expressed that they thought that the complaint was odd due to the fact that a previous restaurant had just moved out of the location that Casey's Barbecue was now going to move into. It turns out that the neighbor seems to have complained previously about another barbecue restaurant called T-Rex, and even a local McDonald's.
Oh, jeez.
About 2 months ago, into getting settled, Casey's Barbecue received its first complaint from neighbors. A neighbor wrote Casey's Barbecue via email and inquired about the smoke coming from their fully permitted FEC 750 smoker. Casey's Barbecue owners instantly responded and advised the neighbors that the smoker had been approved by the city before the doors opened to the public. The owners also reassured the neighbors that they were burning clean fuel, wood pellets. Casey's Barbecue owners took additional steps with the neighbors through this dispute. Although not required by the city of Berkeley, Casey's Barbecue owners purchased and installed additional equipment, an additional smokestack, and an additional filter to further reduce the smoke output. So they're going above and beyond trying to make their neighbors happy. The FEC 750 is the top-of-the-line smoker that tends to produce about as much smoke as your average outdoor Weber grill.
That ain't bad.
No, especially for a business that's smoking meat all day long.
Exactly.
Even after installation of the additional smokestack and filters, Casey's Barbecue noticed that the city departments were making inspections more and more frequently than they have ever experienced in the 50 years of doing business in Berkeley. Over the course of 2 months, they counted 6 to 8 inspections. They were visited by several City of Berkeley departments, including fire, health, environmental planning, development, and the state of California Air Quality Control. Normal health inspections occur quarterly, and the other departments about once a year, or only before you get your initial business license. After each of these inspections, Casey's Barbecue was cleared for regular business and no violations were ever found. Since Casey's Barbecue opened their doors with all the proper permits and licenses, they have never once been in violation or cited. On December 7th, the City of Berkeley Planning Department served Casey's Barbecue with a notice of violation stating that they were in violation of their use permit and a nuisance ordinance. The violation instructed Casey's Barbecue to cease and desist the operation of their smoker immediately, basically telling them to shut their business down. The smoker is essentially their only way to barbecue. Totally agreed. The owners are Berkeley natives, and they have had this business in the city of Berkeley for 50 years. Casey's Barbecue is now in its third generation, and it is seeking support from city council members and the community at large to uncover the details of this matter for a timely resolve. The matter has put a huge damper on Casey's Barbecue holiday and the beginning of 2019. We insist on resolving this matter. Local businesses are important engines that fuel our economy.
Someone in the chat, Carl, brought up maybe the neighbor is a vegan.
That's possible, or they're just a busybody, and that's what I think it is. You just get busybodies or people that just want to stir the pot.
Yeah, Karen says probably emitting toxic masculinity.
Oh, good one. So where do I pick up a big old bag of toxic masculinity pellets?
You know, I hate to say it, but I'm glad I'm not down in California because that happens a lot down there. Oh, you just put up another poll. What was the answer to the other poll?
What was the question? Oh, the Soapbox Derby was Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
And this question is, the world's northernmost capital is in what country?
Huh.
Your choices are Denmark, Finland, Iceland, or Norway. So it's Scandinavian.
No, you're right. It's sad that people feel the need to put their nose where it don't belong. And making complaints like that, I mean, yeah, okay, maybe the smell could get a little tiresome, but still, it's a business. It gives people jobs, and they had a chance because before they can permit, they have and put in a business like that, they have to go through a whole series of open meetings where you get a chance to have your say so.
Correct. And if you look at the location of this restaurant, it's not in really a residential area. It's in downtown. It looks like it's a downtown location, right off the street.
Jeez. So it makes you wonder what if it's a business neighbor, maybe they don't like the fact that someone's taking their business. Or like I said, maybe it's a vegan shop and that's hurting their business.
I think that's funny, man.
You know, it's kind of like me with my big truck getting near a Prius. I'm not beyond turning the chip on my truck up and if they've got their window down and just hitting the accelerator and watching a big puff of smoke go in their
filling
window.
Them up.
I'm such a cruel person.
Yeah, man. You're supposed to be like all centered and stuff.
I am, and that's how I keep my center is laughing at life. You can't if you do not smile at life, you are going to cry. Because too much goes on, too many people are interested in making you emotional, and too many people are willing to make you feel bad. I say you got to laugh. You got to smile, and you got to just say, what the hell?
I don't know, man. I'm not about the smiling and stuff. I let a lot more stuff roll off my shoulder.
Well, yeah, and I know. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Cause likes to go to my web page or my Facebook page and keeps trying to come up with all. He keeps going, no cats, because I try to get people to smile by putting little kittens out there and otters and things of that nature.
And I counter that by sending Owl videos of cats that are trying to eat an octopus, and then the octopus decides to wrap its tentacles around the cat's face.
Uh-huh.
Did you finally see that? I sent you another link.
Oh, I saw
That's great.
Uh-huh. You mean person, you.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Hey, Hooter, I hope, you know what? I'm from Nebraska, and quite honestly, I'd love to see the Chiefs win. And apparently it's 21-17 right now.
Not bad. I saw that it was 7. The last time I looked at the first of all, the team that I wanted to see in there, I wanted to see the Saints in there. They didn't do it. They lost in overtime today. It was a 26-23 in overtime against the Rams. So the Rams are going to the Super Bowl.
But apparently this is a close game too. You okay there, bud?
Pardon me. Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. Fine. A bit of a coughing fit.
Ah. You're not even in the cold air now.
I'm not. I'm just, running my mouth and my throat's dry.
And Karen, you're right. Never let anyone steal your joy. They ain't worth it. So, no, that's we were talking about the Chiefs. I hope they win just because, I would love to see them go. They're always the people that people say, yeah, if you lose to the Chiefs, you're not doing good. Well, this year, people have been losing to the Chiefs.
The Chiefs have a solid team this year. I think they have a lot more solid of a team than the Patriots. I don't like the Patriots, but I'm trying to let that bias to the side and just have a comparison between the twos.
Yeah.
The Patriots have lost some games this year that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, and like I just would like to see him make it. I mean, I don't know. Have they ever won a Super Bowl?
I'm not that into sports. I don't know.
Neither am I. That's why I say that. And hello, Heidi. It's good to see you.
Hey, Heidi.
We try to make sure everybody knows we love them and we're glad you're here. Oh, well, let's go to another story.
Is this the Royal Navy one?
Yes, it is.
Oh man, I'm jealous. Jealous.
The future flagship of the Royal Navy, the 65,000-ton aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth, isn't scheduled to complete its first real deployment until 2021, but that hasn't kept the Brits from ensuring one morale-boosting element is installed and ready for duty. A new pub known as the Queen's Head was christened last week aboard the Queen Elizabeth and will be available to officers and senior enlisted during the ship's maiden transit of the Atlantic, a journey that began August 18th and one that features 2 embarked F-35B Lightning II aircraft from NAS Patuxent River in Maryland.
Or we just call it Pax River.
Okay. The Wiltshire-based Wadsworth Brewery, which created an ale specifically for the ship's commissioning, a beverage appropriately named Carrier Ale, was instrumental in bringing the pub to life. It has been a long time in the planning, well before the carrier was commissioned last year. Brewery CEO Chris Wilhelm said, "The mess looks really great and will provide a relaxing environment along with some fine beer for the team on board when they have some downtime." I am jealous. Wadsworth Brewery will be supplying a range of goods to the thirsty officers and senior enlisted on board. Among those, 6 times ale,
6X.
6X ale. The 4.1% ABV beer, described as the jewel in Wadsworth's crown, won gold at the recent World Beer Awards. Wow. Swordfish Ale, a blend of beer and an Old Navy rum recipe, combines for a flavor-packed 5% ABV ale with a rum aroma. Carrier Ale, on the lighter side, a 3.6% ABV pale ale brewed specifically for the ship's commissioning. Wadsworth will donate a portion of the proceeds from every bottle of beer sold to the Royal Navy and Royal Marines charity. The ceremony was attended by Wadsworth and Royal Navy personnel, including Queen Elizabeth's commanding officer, Captain Jerry Kite, who addressed those in the pub.
That's pretty cool, man. I am kind of jealous, kind of bummed out, man, because your lower enlisted can't go in there, probably for a good reason. I wonder if they're just like not allowed in the pub, but they can still purchase.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know what the rules are.
Maybe it's kind of like the officer's mess. I don't know. I wanted to give you. This is some interesting information about the new prize ship. Okay.
Sure.
Biggest warship of British Navy has ever been produced. Price tag, $4 billion. F-35B aircraft will be the primary jet featured on board. 306 feet in length, 32 feet shorter than the United States Navy's new Gerald R. Ford supercarrier. 470 cabins accommodate about 1,600 personnel. 155,000 miles of electrical cable throughout the ship.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And its home will be Portsmouth, England, at their harbor. That is a big ship. But not, hey, the Gerald R. Ford is bigger.
It is bigger. By 62 feet? Hell yeah.
But still.
But if you're in the Pax River area, if you guys are in Maryland, Southern Maryland, you might be able to go and check it out.
Huh. That would be interesting to see. And see, what is it? It's going through its testing right now, correct?
Yeah, I think it's done with sea trials. But it's scheduled to go to Pax River.
Okay. Because I think it said the first deployment was in 2021.
Right. Yeah, it's still got a bunch of testing to do.
Yeah. So, well, that's neat. And good. I mean, again, it's good stuff that you don't hear about. I mean, can you imagine not hearing about that on the news? I mean, wouldn't that be cool to hear on the news? Especially people who live in the area where it's going to come.
Yeah.
But no, they don't put that on the news. Jeez.
I mean, it's in the news, but it's buried because it's always overtaken by, you always say, if it bleeds, it leads,
Exactly. Bleeds, it leads. If it's politics, it's first.
It's a new batch of migrants are heading across Mexico. From, where did they come from? El Salvador? But they basically walked into Mexico. There was the gates were unmanned.
Yep.
So they just walked into the country, and they're on the way.
Yep. And then, like I said, I think my prediction's right. If he doesn't do it before then, I think during his State of the Union he's going to declare a national emergency.
I hope he puts his fist down and sticks to something, because he's I don't want to say bent over backwards, but he's been there. He has canceled trips to stay there and negotiate. He's kept, and I thought this was kind of funny, and it was a dick move, but he kept Pelosi from her and her entourage from going to Egypt, Afghanistan, and one other place.
Oh, they tried to sit there and say, "Oh, you just kept us from seeing the troops." And it's like, no, you had more plan than that. And that it was kind of a dick move, but quite honestly, there's a bunch of people who don't have money right now, and there's a bunch of people who are relying on you people up in Washington to negotiate. And
you can't negotiate if you're not in town.
Yeah, and doing the whole standoff thing, and I'm not going to give. Hey, at least Trump made that effort.
Yeah, Camo does have a good point. He goes, he didn't stop him. He just kept him from taking military aircraft.
Exactly. And what was it? Pelosi, her backup to that was, well, it's too late now. Everybody knows we're coming. So that's why they didn't charter a private. It's like, okay, whatever you want to say. You got he put mud in your face by making you look bad because, well, you're leaving when you're supposed to be negotiating.
It's just it's politics, and I hate politics, and I hate it when your personal preference, I'm using this word, trumps what's better for the country or what's good for the country.
Exactly. I mean
every president, I think in my lifetime, has always said we need border security. We need border security. We need border security. So here's here's President Trump going, okay, here you go. This will help solve or help address the border security issue. And now it's Trump's idea, so it's not a good idea, and everyone on the left is against it.
Yeah.
Lockstep, dude. Every one of them.
It's sad. And again, neither cause or I really like talking politics because
I don't like bringing my personal opinions into the show because they don't necessarily match with everyone else's personal opinions. Everyone's got their own opinions, and that's great. That's fine. I don't want to use this as a platform to pontificate my views. I try to provide a balanced view.
And too many news stations out there do talk and give their own opinion and don't give you all the facts. And they omit a lot of news out there just because they feel that you don't need to hear it. So we try to make sure you hear everything, and we give you fair and balanced.
And my biggest bitch on the news, and this goes from every news source, every mainstream news source, is before they tell you a story, they almost lead you into a direction where this is how you're going to feel. This is how you should feel about the story that I'm getting ready to tell you. And then they go and they tell you the story. And they add facts, or they misrepresent facts, or they just give you whatever fits their motivation. Whatever's important to them is the news that they tell you. They don't give you all the information. So I do a lot of reading from multiple sources.
Trust me, he does.
I compare notes a lot.
Almost anal retentively.
I don't like being strung around.
No. And I kid you, I tease you, but he really likes to make sure that he's not the one who puts out improper information. And WTF, at WTF we try to make sure that everybody gets the true news. And I think we've proven that over the last, so many years.
3 years.
Yeah. Coming up on 4.
Yeah.
Getting there.
March, April.
Yeah.
Bam. We're big boys now.
Yeah. Well, I'm the noob. Oh, I can't say that. Actually, we have 2 other noobs.
Well, you're the noob. Well, I don't know. I think Mulder's newer than you, who's on the air.
Yes.
So we got of course there's the migrant thing.
Oh gosh.
And Al and I have talked a lot about diseases, and what are you going to do? Just let them in? They get placed somewhere in the United States. waiting on their paperwork to come through for asylum. And that's what happens when they come across. They get processed. They're slated for review of asylum, and then they go somewhere. They go to Cincinnati. They might go to Dallas. They might go to Los Angeles. They might go to Spokane, waiting for their court date to review their asylum status. I don't know where I was really going with that, but that's we're talking about vaccinations, and
yeah, I was going to say you're talking about vaccinations.
It is the folks are coming from third world areas that are not vaccinated because either they don't want to or they don't have to. The World Health Organization just put out a list of 10 health issues that are plaguing the planet right now. The top 10 health issues. Number one is immunizations. They call it vaccine hesitancy. Vaccine hesitancy is the delay in acceptance or refusal of vaccines despite their availability. It is one of the top 10 health threats facing the world in 2019. The phenomenon has taken hold in a number of countries around the world in recent times, and notably in the United States as well. Data from the CDC shows that while coverage of most recommended vaccines remained relatively stable and high in 2017, for American children, the percentage who have received no vaccines has quadrupled since 2001. Increasing numbers of people in the USA now hold anti-vaccination views. Since 2009, the number of philosophical belief vaccine non-medical exemptions has risen in 12 of 18 states that currently allow the policy. Other countries with notable anti-vax movements are Australia, where around 40,000 children are unvaccinated because of the objections of their parents, and Italy, which introduced new rules in 2018 suspending the mandatory vaccinations that were once required for children to be admitted to school. According to the World Health Organization, humanity has made significant strides in the past few decades when it comes to global health. Life expectancy has increased in many parts of the world. Polio is on the verge of eradication, and 6 million fewer children under the age of 5 died in 2016 compared with 1990. That's remarkable achievement.
That's great.
Despite these achievements, significant global health problems remain, ranging from the prevalence of deadly non-communicable diseases to the damaging effects of environmental pollution. And there's a list. Here are the remaining 9 of the most significant issues. Air pollution and climate change. World Health Organization considers air pollution to be one of the greatest environmental risks to public health in 2019. Not surprising, given that 9 out of 10 people breathe polluted air, leading to approximately 7 million premature deaths worldwide. Breathing in microscopic pollutants can lead to cancer, stroke, and heart and lung disease. I do not disagree with that.
No.
I read their climate change paragraph. And I said climate change was listed as a threat, but I think that their findings are politically motivated and they're full of BS because they just mentioned it without any explanation. They cite climate change as the main cause for malnutrition, malaria, and heat stress.
Oh, jeez.
And they didn't go in and explain anything. They just blurted out all that information. And I'm just like, man, they're just trying to spoon feed people.
Yes. Yes, they are. And climate change, my position on that is scientists that aren't drinking the Kool-Aid say the climate changes. It's going to change. It changes all the time. They have proven that. It has to change. That's part of the cycle that the globe goes through. Do we have some influence on that? Yes. But it's going to happen whether we're here or not.
I think we ought to be good stewards of our planet. I don't think you should, when you go and change your oil, you just dump it out on the ground.
I agree with that. There's things we can do. It's just trying to push everything on climate change and do some of the things that are unnecessary or uncalled for to hike up to make it so that things are more costly. There are ways to circumvent that. I mean, right now, all right, everybody's heard of biodiesel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Biodiesel costs 80 cents to produce. Okay. It has zero emission. It smells of whatever you made it out of, be it corn or vegetable oil. Okay. It causes no harm to the atmosphere. You know why the U.S. is not producing it as high as it should be?
Tell me.
Most biodiesel is made out of corn. Where does most of our corn go?
To feed livestock.
Out overseas. Farmers get a lot of money sending it overseas.
And farmers also get subsidies for not growing anything.
Exactly. So therefore, what is it? As much as I don't like, was it Venezuela, where they have their socialist country?
Yeah.
The one thing they did do is 60% of their fuel is biodiesel. 60%. And it costs very little to manufacture. They do great with that. The big thing is at that point you're looking at problems with exports because everybody was relying on their corn and their product that they're using to make their biodiesel. That's the biggest reason it comes back. That and the big energy companies, they don't like biodiesel because there's no way of them putting a hold on biodiesel, being able to lord over it and make money off it, because biodiesel is really cheap.
Corn is what ethanol is, right?
Yes. It's just that biodiesel can actually be made from it also. It's not ethanol. They use it for winter. It's not the best for your engine. It actually can cause it kind of craps up your engine.
Well, it craps up your engine. It's caustic to the seals.
Yes.
Not the or seals, but the seals in your car.
Yes. But for biodiesel, it burns beautifully. Diesel engines were actually originally made to burn vegetable oil.
I mean, dude, look at the deuce and a half. Even Combo said, just take all that and dump it into the tank of a deuce and a half.
Oh, yeah. Back in, World War II, I saw the manual and I wish I would have copied it. The government put out a manual to all farmers telling them how to convert their engines to run off of soot.
Like coal dust? Or creosote?
No, wood dust.
Oh, wood dust. Okay.
Basically making it some sort of either I think it broke down to kind of a steam engine. But the diesel engines are made to run off of many things. But originally they were made for vegetable oil.
So other issues that the World Health Organization outlines, it says non-communicable diseases. Non-communicable diseases are those that cannot be directly transmitted from one person or another, like cancer, diabetes, heart disease. Collectively, they are the biggest killers of humans, responsible for 70% of all deaths worldwide. The most significant drivers of these diseases are high alcohol consumption, tobacco use, physical inactivity, and poor diet. I can't disagree with that.
I can't disagree with that.
Global influenza pandemic. The WHO warns that a global influenza pandemic could strike at any time. As a result, the organization is collaborating with more than 150 institutions around the world to constantly monitor influenza strains. This will help to provide prevention and treatment strategies when outbreaks do occur. And we're in the midst of one right now.
Really?
Let's see. Fragile and vulnerable settings. Crisis, such as drought, famine, and conflict, population displacement, and poor health services have left more than 22% of all people around the world without access to health care.
War.
Yeah, I can see that. And especially the poor countries, super poor countries.
Yeah, exactly.
Antimicrobial resistance. Antimicrobial resistance is the ability of pathogens to resist treatment with once effective drugs. This may mean that a routine surgery and chemotherapy could become extremely risky, and that makes sense too.
Yes, and that has actually popped up here and there with actually people I know.
Now, do you think that has something to do with maybe the overprescribing of? And it's not so much anymore. It really isn't so much anymore. The doctors are less apt to prescribe antibiotics.
Yes, and what you were saying is right. It is from when antibiotics first really were at their height. They'd prescribe antibiotics without even thinking about it. Now they're really careful. And it is mainly because of that. When the body can become resistant.
I mean, yeah. You go to the hospital or something. It's like you got the sniffles. Here, have a Z-Pack.
Yeah.
You might just have the sniffles.
And it used to be, especially when I was in the service, it took nothing. They'd write you something for an antibiotic. You had some antibiotic.
I was at the store today, and the pharmacist was there talking to a lady who was complaining of symptoms. And they have a triage area there, and they'll let you know, okay, yeah, you need to go to the doctor, or you need to go to one of those doc-in-the-box emergency care clinics.
Yeah.
Or go see your doctor. And she was wanting some kind of an antibiotic only because she, woke up in the morning, she felt sick, but then she started feeling better, but she wanted to have antibiotics, and the pharmacist told her no. She says the fact that once you got up and moving, you started feeling better means that your body is fighting off this infection itself. Give it a couple of days. If it gets worse, go see your doctor.
Yeah. Pharmacists can't give that stuff out. It has to be by a doctor.
Yeah, well, they have doctors there. They have a triage center inside the store.
And then that's just it. He's right. If you feel better, see that if you need antibiotics, you don't feel better.
True.
So, another one?
Another what?
Stuff that was it from the World Health Organization?
Oh, we got bunches. Ebola and other high-threat pathogens. 2 outbreaks of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo occurred last year. It's actually from last year, and it's carried forward into this year, causing the deaths of nearly 400 people. This highlights the danger of known high-threat pathogens with the potential to cause epidemics like Ebola, Zika, MERS-CoV, and SARS. Recent data provided from the World Health Organization website to us states that in the past 30 days, there have been an additional 78 confirmed cases of Ebola in Congo. The total number of deaths stands at 383.
Wow.
We did a story. There was I don't know if we did a story or if it was just a story shared in our news group, but there was a family that went and recovered the body of a deceased Ebola victim, brought it back to their little village and did their own burial ceremony, their own funeral ceremony. That's nuts, dude. You got Ebola, I'm not going anywhere near you.
No. And you're right. I even though it's such a contagious disease.
Even after you're dead.
Yeah, it is.
Weak primary health care. People in many countries around the world lack access to adequate primary health care services. This is a significant problem because they are the first point of contact that an individual has with its health care system. Often services of poor quality or simply unaffordable. I can understand that. Going to the doctor is not cheap unless you have good insurance.
Exactly.
They listed dengue fever on there.
Really?
Every year, about 390 million people around the world are infected with dengue fever, and about 40% of the global population lives in regions where it risks contracting the disease. Transmitted by mosquitoes, the flu-like fever has a mortality rate of below 1% when it is detected and treated early. However, this figure can rise significantly if the disease is left untreated. Okay, I get that.
Yeah, luckily the U.S. isn't one of the areas that's really high in.
Not even like Florida or Mississippi or Louisiana?
Nope.
Good. HIV is mentioned. While huge strides have been made in recent decades when it comes to preventing and treating HIV infections, millions of people are still dying of HIV/AIDS every year around the world. It is estimated that approximately 37 million are currently living with HIV, with certain groups such as sex workers, IV drug users, and men who have sex with men. They are at particular risk of being infected.
Yep. I remember when that scare came out, when it first hit the news. I was actually stationed over in Europe, and they immediately started saying, okay, everybody needs to start getting tested.
That was scary. I remember I really didn't experience it much until I got into the Army.
Yeah.
With that yearly check.
And that's it. We when it hit us, when they start saying, okay, we need to test everybody, and I was in Europe. I was working in a hospital. All the hospital workers had to get tested. Some actually came up positive.
Interesting you mentioned that.
And then when I moved on into an infantry division, I remember then finally the military saying, okay, we need to do this broadly. And we had to do whole battalions and brigades over a couple days where that's all we were doing was drawing blood.
Damn. Oh yeah, you were on the medic side of that, so you were dealing with that shit every day.
And we would set up in a gym, and that's all we would be doing day in and day out for weeks.
So I got the new and final poll up. Zenith. Remember Zenith, the TV maker? Zenith introduced the first television remote control in 1950. What was it called? It was actually called something. I did not know this. I love the book that I got. It's really awesome. You'll learn something new every day.
What was the results of the last poll?
The northernmost capital city is located in Iceland.
Okay.
It's in Reykjavik, Iceland.
This guy loves his trivia.
I do. So I'd like for you to go forward with this art. I think it's our last story. And then I got a joke. My joke is funny this week. It was funny last week. It's funnier this week.
Okay. All right. Legal minimum wage for New York City employees with 11 or more workers rose more than 15% on December 31st, 2018 to $15 per hour from $13, giving fast food, retail, and other employees a bump in pay. But some New York City restaurant owners say the latest minimum wage hike is forcing them to cut workers' hours just to stay afloat. John Bluestein operates 6 New York City restaurants that employ between 50 and 110 people each. The owner of Heartland Brewery and Houston Hall, Bluestein, said the effect of the higher minimum wage on payroll across locations represents an intense cost to his business. We lost control of our largest controllable expense, he told CBS Money Watch. So in order to live with that and stay in business, we're cutting hours. Bluestein said he has scaled back on employee hours and no longer uses hosts and hostesses during lunch on light traffic days. Customers instead are greeted with a sign that reads, "Kindly select a table." He also staggers employees' start times. These fewer hours add up to a lot of money in restaurants. Bluestein said he has increased menu prices too. So as a result of the minimum wage hike, it will cost more to dine out, he said. It's not great for labor. It's not great for the people who invest in or own restaurants, and it's not great for the public. A New York City Hospitality Alliance survey of 574 restaurants showed that 75% of full-service restaurants reported plans to reduce employees' hours this year in response to the latest mandated wage increase. Another 40% said they would eliminate jobs in 2019. 87% of the respondents also said they would increase menu prices this year. These types of cost-cutting moves coincide with the U.S. Labor Department report released last Friday showing full-service restaurants in December raised prices the most since 2011 to cover soaring labor and food costs. The money has to come from somewhere, and we found that, unfortunately, as a result, businesses are making some really tough decisions which don't only impact them, but have a negative impact on their workers as well as their diners, too, said the executive director of New York City Hospitality Alliance, which represents restaurants and nightlife venues throughout the 5 boroughs. But shaving workers' hours and killing jobs limits restaurateurs' ability to offer employees opportunities for growth and development. It can also kill owners' hopes of offering a fine dining experience that delivers both good food and good service. Susan Coteen, who opened Lido restaurant in Harlem in 2011, said she has already started combining jobs to reduce workers' hours. She relies on servers to bus their own tables, eliminating one of the lowest paying customer-facing jobs. She explained her rationale. A server can bus their own table, but you can't ask a busboy to open a bottle of wine and talk about what it can be paired with, she said. Coutine said she's sad to cut these kinds of positions in the community she cares about and from which she has in the past promoted low-wage workers to management positions. Our current general manager started as a busboy the day we opened. English is not his first language. He has his GED. He is smart, hardworking, and cares about customer service. She also worries that the wage mandate will discourage operators and change the restaurant landscape in New York City. If you make it impossible for people to operate, they have to close or take drastic measures or really cut back people. At some point, people aren't going to be opening because you have to look at the bottom line.
It's crazy because I toyed with opening up a restaurant.
Yeah.
I like to cook. I've got great recipes. But all of the advice that I was given, and from all the research, it says if you want to go broke, own a restaurant.
Yes.
If you're just a mom and pop and you have one restaurant, you're not gonna stay afloat for a long time.
No.
It's very, very difficult. You got to have another side hustle, either that or branch out into franchising.
Yeah, and I actually see where I live in Washington State, they're slowly moving the minimum wage up. The East Side decided that. Basically, Seattle decided that. And Seattle decided that they were going to start instituting it on themselves, even more so. And they've actually had a lot of problems with companies closing or not opening up more businesses, and businesses moving out.
It's crazy. I was talking to some people on Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's little fan group over on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they were talking about this, and then I pointed out these figures here of the poll of the 500 some odd restaurants.
Yeah.
And with 80-something% of them saying that they're going to increase prices for the consumer, they're going to cut hours, they're going to eliminate positions, and it was crazy. They were just like, oh, everyone needs a minimum or a living wage. Granted, a living wage in New York City is a hell of a lot more than a living wage in Alabama, or in Dallas, Texas, or in
Yeah.
Spokane, or in Seattle. Now,
Yeah.
Seattle, and someone had brought it to my attention in that group. We were having a very civil conversation. It wasn't, oh, just shut up. It was a, hey, look at Seattle as an example. Seattle increased their minimum wage. I think their minimum wage is above $15 an hour right now.
Yes.
15.83 or something like that.
Yes.
But that's had, I looked at the statistics, and it's had like an opposite effect. Yes, the restaurants are increasing their prices and reducing hours, but employment is actually going up. And I don't see why.
Because the people are actually working more than one job. In other words, instead of working one job, you're now working two.
You work two, you might get, let's say you're a part-time worker working, let's say 25 hours a week. You're working, 15 hours at this restaurant and 10 more hours per week at another restaurant.
Yep. That's the statistics don't tell the truth on that side of it.
That's the thing about statistics, is you can bend them any which way to fit your argument.
Yeah. You talk to people from Seattle, they'll tell you, no, a lot, unless you have a top paying job. If you have a job where you're making the minimum wage, you're working two jobs.
Even both of my kids have jobs, or have had jobs. My oldest one doesn't work because she's a full-time student, but my youngest one, who's getting ready to graduate high school, has held multiple jobs. She's always getting raises and stuff, like every 90 days, 180 days or so.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be stuck at minimum wage for long if you're worth it.
And that's just the thing is, people who aren't worth it don't like it, because then they're graded upon their work ethic. And they don't like the fact that they can't just get away with the bare minimum, and not, people want to strive to do more, and there's so many arguments. What it comes down to is a higher minimum wage actually causes inflation. Australia proved it.
Absolutely. I mean, your restaurant's gonna have bills. They have water and electricity and insurance for their employees and insurance for the restaurant. All that has to get paid. And now when you're involuntarily mandated to pay your employees an extra $3 an hour or $2 an hour, that's a lot of money, and it adds up over time. How much more value are you getting to your business? Because you're in the business. You're not in the business to provide burgers for people. You're in the business to make money.
Exactly.
You don't owe anybody anything. You need a team of people, your employees around you. You need to have good employees, good teammates there to help you achieve that goal. When that goal is achieved, yeah, you can treat your employees better.
Well, and the other part of that is, it's not just the restaurants; it's everybody. So therefore, the delivery people are going to have to make more, because, well, now they don't want to be making just minimum wage. Everything has to go up. Again, it's inflation. Australia bumped their minimum wage up to, what was it, $21 an hour?
Something like that, yeah.
And everything went up exponentially. And now it's just like it was. People who make minimum wage still can't afford to live off of it. It eventually catches up. It's poor economics at best.
I mean, granted, minimum wage wasn't meant to be a baller with the latest cell phone, a nice house, and a family, and you're not going to be able to support a family and have all those nice things when you're making minimum wage. Minimum wage is a stepping stone. It's not a permanent location for you.
And that's the thing is, that's what they're trying to make it, and you can't do that. Oh, by the way, it's top of the hour.
Oh my goodness, it's joke time with Kaz. I need some joke time with Kaz music. Oh my gosh, this is a good one. Hang on. It'll be funny, I promise. Walter took his wife Ethel to the state fair every year, and every time he would say to her, "Ethel, you know that I'd love to go for a ride in that helicopter," but Ethel would always reply, "I know that, Walter, but that helicopter ride is $50. And $50 is $50. This year was no different. They went to the fair, and Walter said to Ethel, "Ethel, I'm 87 years old now, If I don't ride that helicopter this year, I may never get another chance. Once again, Ethel replied, Walter, you know that helicopter ride is $50, and $50 is $50. This time, the helicopter pilot overheard the couple's conversation and said, listen, I'll make a deal with you. I'll take you both for a ride if you can both stay quiet for the entire ride and not say a word. I won't charge you. But if you say one word, you owe me $50. So Walter and Ethel agreed, and up they went in the helicopter. The pilot performed all kinds of fancy moves and tricks, but not a word was said by either Walter or Ethel. The pilot did his fancy tricks over and over and over again, but still, there wasn't so much as a word from the back. When they finally landed, the pilot turned to Walter and said, wow, I've got to hand it to you. I did everything I could to get you to scream out or shout out, but you didn't. I'm really impressed. Walter replied, well, to be honest, I almost said something when Ethel fell out, but, you know, $50 is $50.
Oh, love it.
So, padunk. I thought that was a good joke. So tomorrow night, you guys, you got to be here. Hopefully Dan Thurs doesn't have any bad weather headed his way. We were supposed to have Operation Backbone on tonight. That's going to be rescheduled, and we will bring that to you. But tomorrow night, tune in with Ice and Flash. They're going to be doing a show with Dan Thurs. Dan was on a Monday edition a little over a year ago, and he'll be on the show to talk about how YouTube removed his channel called Tactical Reviews. Tactical Reviews was a YouTube channel where they would review the latest tactical weapons and equipment. They now have their own site, which all of their reviews, and Dan will be discussing what you can do to keep up with the latest reviews.
Very good.
So, yeah, during the I guess the latest shooting, they YouTube and I guess a bunch of other social media sites started clamping down on people that have videos and shooting guns and whatnot. The thing is, I'm on YouTube a lot, and those videos are still there. Not tactical reviews, but I mean folks shooting guns and how far will this 50 BMG? How many New York City telephone books will it penetrate? You know, those shows are still out there. They have one out there. Some guy had a 50 cal and had it set up, and he shot it straight up in the air, and he was going to try to find the bullet after it landed.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know, man.
This world has gone crazy, but hey, just grab on and enjoy the ride, right?
Right. So everybody, we got shows. Shit, we're at 5. Let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. 5 shows a week.
Thursday, Saturday, not Friday.
I didn't say. Did I say Friday? I apologize. Oh, and I can't go any further without talking about War Horses for Veterans. War Horses for Veterans is a 3-day equine therapy program in Stillwell, Kansas, which is currently snowy and cold. The program is free to all combat veterans, and this includes airfare, lodging, and meals. Get your buddies together. Go to warhorsesforveterans.com and learn more. It's everybody. Well, a lot of folks from the station went about 2 years ago, and it was such a fantastic experience. I think Minx has been back again.
Yes. And Jay Reddy actually works there.
Jay Reddy pulled up roots, and he moved from Florida to Kansas to be closer to War Horses for Veterans. He does his own job, but he also volunteers at War Horses for Veterans. It's great, dude. It's such magnetic personalities there. Gosh, Pat and Andy are awesome. The whole place is awesome. I think everybody needs to go there. So if you're a combat veteran, go to warhorsesforveterans.com. Learn about the program. Learn about all the things they do. Even if you don't want to go through the program, they do sponsor a lot of Spartan games and all kinds of cool stuff like that, man. They're very active in the community. They're very active in the veteran community, and they're well respected. Anyway, we got Dan Thurs tomorrow night for the Monday edition with Ice, and a moderately restrained Owl on Tuesday. What are you calling your show?
It's still tied up Tuesdays because, well, Meeks is planning to come back.
Well, it's tied up Tuesdays with Al, and Minx is going to be on the return. She's like buying a house and stuff. So that, and trust me, I know that takes a lot of work.
Yep.
Wednesday, no show. Thursday is Sergeant's Time with Ice. Friday, no show. Saturday is Tinfoil Times. I almost called it Saturday Night Savagery, but it's not. It's called Tinfoil Times. So you can get J. Reddy, Pookie, and Mulder in there talking, they're on the conspiracy side of the house. So if that's what you like, that's a great place to be on Saturday night. And then Sundays, you can always come back and chill out with me and Owl here for Kicking It with Kaz.
We'll always have something to say.
And I'm going to close this poll out. The correct answer for the question: Zenith introduced the first television remote control in 1950. What was it called? Your choices were couch potato, backseat driver, remote control, or lazy bones. And the correct answer is lazy bones.
I did not know that.
Neither did I. Once again, I love this book.
Well, everybody, have a good week. I'll see you on Tuesday. We'll see you back next Sunday.
All right, guys. Everybody keep safe. Keep your head down, man. This is going to be a great week. Y'all take care.
Shots.
Here's a shot out of a cannon. Oprah, Barbara Walters, your wife. You gotta fuck one, marry one, kill one. Go.
I think we're done here. Thank you.
Disney.
Got it!
WTF Nation Radio.
WTF Nation Radio.